Hello there, and a huge welcome to this week's episode of Gina Gardiner and Friends. I'm Gina Gardiner, and my guest today is David Williams. He's an up-and-coming speaker, and he has a mission, which is to help as many people as possible. And to that end, he's written a number of books. So, David, a huge welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Yes, I am so grateful. I am so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
We're going to be talking today about being your own superhero, and we certainly need superheroes at the moment. So before we do, tell us a bit about you and how you come to be talking about superheroes.
Well, this is something that I will be admitting to the public that I absolutely just loved comic books.
Okay.
I was a big reader of comic books, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Star Trek, even you name it. I was always drawn to it at some point. So that was I guess the initial start for the superhero theme in my life. I wasn't sure who I'd relate to the most, but over time it ended up being Superman. He was the standout person to me, and that was how I got into like the whole comic books and superhero thing, because I felt like even kids don't always want to be the sidekick. Some of them want to be the main star of the show. They don't always want to be the sidekick, and I really resonated with that. So that's what started my love for not just creativity, but comic books, and just seeing where the imagination could go. I love, I guess, thinking without limits or thinking without restrictions. I love that, and comic books to me symbolize that. It symbolized just giving your mind some freedom, giving your mind and letting your imagination just run wild a little bit. So comic books was isn't it near and dear to me still. Even almost being 40, it's still near and dear to me. I still watch the movies. I still read the comic books. I still do it. So that was my introduction to this whole superhero thing.
Now, I know you're an author and you've written 6 books. Are they comic books or are they something different?
No, my books are something different, although I do have one in there that, because as I've gone on, my friends have given me the name of Superman. Okay. Because if I tell you that I'm going to be there, then that's where I am. I'm there for my friends. I'm there for people that I can be there for. I can't be there for everyone, obviously, but for people that I've built long-standing relationships with, and for people that have really resonated with me over the years and time and things like that, they've given me the name of Superman, because the only time I don't keep promises is if I absolutely can't. And that's what Superman is. He always pulls through, even when you think he won't. He always finds a way to pull through, even when you think he won't. And I resonated with that when it came to Superman, and I wrote it down as a affirmation or mantra, because I do believe that they can change your life if you let them. And I wrote it down, and over time, I just found myself really drawn to anything with Superman in it. Superman laptop stickers, Superman tattoos, Superman hoodies, anything.
So tell me, what's your kryptonite?
Yeah,
if you're Superman, what's your kryptonite?
I should have known that question was coming. I should have known. My kryptonite, I'd say, is doing too much at one time. Because at one point, I wanted to do everything. I didn't want to wait on anybody. I wanted to do as much as I could do within a short amount of time. And unfortunately, metaphorically, I ended up crashing and burning because of it. I exhausted myself by doing too much at one time. And so if I had to narrow it down, I'd say that is my kryptonite. I'm doing too much, overwhelming myself and doing
Now, you
too
talk about the
much.
fact that you want to help people. So how do you help people?
Mhm.
What's your vehicle, if you like, for helping people?
Well, books is actually my vehicle, because the approach that I take with my books is that, um, even if I'm not physically with you, in some type of way, I'm with you, right? Because, um, of course, I can't be everywhere, but my books can go places that I can't, or that I'm not able to at the time. And
So,
so,
so I'm going to
I
interrupt you.
use my
What's the essence of your books? You know, what are people, our
Mhm.
listeners today don't know you, most of them. So
Right.
what are they going to get out of your books? What are you offering people through your books?
Um, well, that depends on the book. So I'll use my fourth book as an example. My fourth book was Heavy is the Head, for those who wear crowns. The Entrepreneurial Kingdom. That was the name of my fourth one. And in that one, um, the goal for that is to encourage people to be their own kings and queens, because I feel very strongly that everybody is a king or queen in their own right. And it doesn't mean walking around with your chest out like you're better than everyone, because nobody is. But what I mean is, um, in terms of confidence and thinking of yourself at the highest level. That's what I mean by kings. That's what I mean by queens. And I struggled with worthiness when it came to that. And I talked about that in the book in particular. And so for anybody that's struggling with worthiness, for anybody that um, likes moving to the beat of their own drum and doesn't always want to feel like they have to wait on somebody to give them permission in order to be great. That is the theme of the book. It's about, in essence, not waiting on people to give you permission to release your own gifts. And uh, uh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that's really sound
I'm
advice. So
sorry.
often we are conditioned to do things to please other people, but we do it not because it's right for us, but because we don't want to let people down, or we don't want people to be disappointed in us. And we
Right.
make up this story in our head where other people's priorities, other people's needs become more important than ours. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I talk about with clients is we are writing our own life story. How
Right.
we choose moment by moment determines what our story line is, whether we are the hero or heroine of our story, or whether
Yeah.
we're the victim or we're the bully. And so ultimately, for me, the real challenge comes in making active, conscious choices. Because
Right.
when you actively choose how you're going to turn up moment by moment, that
Mhm.
makes the difference between whether you're going to be a hero, heroine, or a victim, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I'm really interested, David, in when you're talking about being a hero or being a king or queen, what are the attributes? What are the things that you think that people can find in themselves, recognize in themselves, that will
Mhm.
help them be the hero or heroine of their own life?
Yeah. I feel as though when it comes to being your own hero, um, for me, it's been about leading from a place of um, compassion and not tyranny. Being able to relate to people in some type of way. It doesn't have to be 100%, but being relatable in a sense of, if you've been close to homeless or somebody's been homeless, then there's a sense of, I guess you could call it camaraderie there. Even though your circumstances might have been different, but you both can sympathize with coming close to that point, coming close to the point of wanting to give up, or coming close to the point of being abandoned by people that you thought wouldn't do that, that you thought would stick with you from the time they meet you until you get to where you're going, right? And so I feel like being a hero, to kind of wrap it up, is not leading with your I guess your powers, your superpowers, if you can call it that, but leading with compassion instead, and then using your powers or your abilities when necessary. And it's not about showboating. It's not about that. It's about, like we've been talking about, it's more so about helping somebody realize what their capabilities are. And so they can do that while watching you use yours when necessary.
You know, it's interesting, isn't it? I find that the people who lack confidence or self-worth often give other people the credit for things that they don't give themselves credit for. So when they judge other people's performance, they will see that as being something that's great. But even though they may have either be working at the same level or much better, they will look for the flaws in what they do. They will criticize themselves far more fulsomely than they do other people. And they will praise people far more fulsomely than they do themselves. And as a result, you get this ever perpetuating cycle that poor self-worth leads to even greater poor self-worth. Yeah. And one of the ways that I suggest that people think about this, and I'd be interested in your take, is to ask a few people that you trust, those who are going to give you the truth and not going to blow smoke up your bottom. What is it that you, when you think about me, what did you think of my strengths? What are the things that you like about me? And where are my areas for development? And I talk about using the people that you trust because you want people to be honest, but at the same time constructively honest. And pretty well without exception, when clients have done that, and I've used it with many, many clients, they're quite surprised at how significantly more positive other people view them than they do themselves.
Yeah. I do agree. And I think that I think that us as a society, we've, I feel like we don't necessarily have to remind people sometimes that they are great. And I think that much like you were talking about, as far as having a circle of trust, that everybody falls off the wagon. Everybody falls off the path of whatever they're doing. And I find that being around people that see the natural you is beautiful. It's beautiful because they can lift you up when you need it. And so I don't think that there's anything wrong with being reminded. And sometimes we, as people, unfortunately, we take it for granted that we can remind somebody that they are strong, that they are beautiful, that they have this bright light about them that they might not be aware of. And I think that being around the right people is definitely necessary. It's needed and should be encouraged. It should be encouraged to remind your friends that that you watch them pull through stuff, and there's nothing wrong with being reminded.
You know, they say that we are the sum of the 5 people we spend most of our time with. And if you spend with people who I call the energy vampires, you know, who suck the very lifeblood out of you, who are critical, who constantly complain, that drags you down. But if you're with people who champion you, who expect good things from you, but support you and, recognize the effort that's going into developing yourself and doing things, I think that's incredibly powerful. And I think back over the years, and so often when you talk to people who have succeeded, they'll say that there's been someone or some people who have believed in them, even when they haven't believed in themselves. And I think, having someone who is your champion and who can say, David, I know you can do it. You're better than this, or that you have the confidence that you can do this. That goes such a long way. And if you're a parent, or you're a teacher, or you're a manager or a leader, then I would really urge you'll get the best out of your people if you notice when they're doing well, when they're trying hard, and you actually reward that and recognize it.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes somebody coming along and saying, you does a lot more than the congratulations that people will tell you as you go and you do great things. But when it's coming from people that have watched you blossom into an amazing person, or have watched you struggle in a specific way, and they watch you pull through that, and they tell you, hey, I see what you're doing. Like, I believe in you. It gets you through the days of questioning or second guessing, because we all have it. Like, let's be honest, we all have those days of.
We certainly do. Those days when you can climb mountains, and days when climbing out bed's a bit of an effort, isn't it?
Yes.
We're going to go for a short break now, but please don't go away. While we're away on the break, I want you to think, if you consider yourself a superhero, which hero would you be like? And what's your superpower? What's your gift? So, David, right at the beginning of the show, you said that certainly one of your superpowers is that you are reliable, that you turn up for people, that you keep your word. For me, I talk about that being someone of integrity, that you're authentic, you are what you that you present as. And I wondered, if you think about the gifts which have helped you through life, what are the things that have helped you on those days when climbing out of bed seemed an effort, and that you were struggling? Because, as you say, we've all struggled. What kept you going?
What kept me going? I'd say making my friends part of my why is what kept me going. Realizing that at the end of it, it's not just about me. Even though I am the messenger, but keeping in mind that what I'm doing is in essence to benefit somebody else, or whatever truth I'm telling in the moment is to make somebody else's journey easier. And I do it for them.
So what is your why? If I had to say,
make it easier if they've something.
Sorry, there was a bit of a hesitation in terms of the recording. What is your why? What is the why you share with friends, and why is that why important to you?
Well, it's actually two. It's actually twofold. It started with my grandfather. He was very creative in his own ways, and watching his example of, again, being your own hero, passing the mantle, and seeing what type of hero or person he was, had a profound impact on me. And it's been that passing of the torch kind of moment for me that's helped me now encourage other people to be their own heroes, because my grandfather came to me at a specific time, even though he's no longer with us, but his example that he lived by of being a person of integrity, being a person of not giving people false promises and under delivering, and being a man of respect in his ways, is what I was able to take away from his funeral and his wake, and found a way to apply those principles to my life. And now I encourage other people to do that. So if I had to wrap it up and say what my why is, um, it's not only family lineage and legacy, but um, wanting to leave people better than when I found them. That's a driving force now behind why I have this refusal, if you will, to just not give up. Um, if I feel led to go in a particular direction, then that's where I'm going. And really letting my heart bleed and speak and let my heart lead the way. Um, and be open to where my heart takes me. So that's my why at the moment. I'm sure it'll change as I
I'm
go.
sure
But
you're a young man, you've got the whole of your life ahead of you. I'm sure things will change over time. And I'm talking from the other end. I've got a few years under my belt. So what's the dream? Do you have a dream?
I do have a dream. My dream actually is to build a hotel that's customer friendly, that's more customer friendly. Um, Outside of my books and other things that I have going on, I do want to build a space where people that might be developmentally delayed feel welcome. That was a question that I had asked at some point in my process in my journey. And that was the feedback that I had received, was that a lot of times when people do go to hotels and things like that, they don't feel like it's very friendly. They feel like it's kind of, in and out. It's not a friendly environment. And that is one thing that I'd hopefully like to change. And so that is part of my dream that I'd like to do, is to build a hotel that not only has like my books and other things in it, but is friendly. It's friendly and is inviting for people. And I feel like that's needed.
Can I ask, has that been triggered because of people that you know who may have been developmentally delayed, or it's just come from somewhere, but not actually because of a personal experience?
Yeah, that's definitely come from friends, because I do have friends that are on the spectrum. I myself am also on the spectrum, and so I've seen or heard through the grapevine from friends that have gone to hotels that when they ask for services or when they ask for specific things, it takes a while. It takes forever, or it takes a long time for them to get the services that they might have needed. And so I wanted to actually apply you might laugh at this, but the superhero thing to hotels. I wanted to apply it to hotels to give hotels a sense of that's not always about being formal, but also fun. Like, you can have fun at hotels. And so that was the initial inspiration behind the hotel idea. It was so that way, if people see somebody dressed up as Batman or Superman at the hotel, then it creates that friendly environment. It creates the friendly environment, because you can't be mad at somebody in the superhero costume. It's hard.
I myself, I have a nephew who's profoundly disabled. It's his birthday today.
Happy birthday!
I took him his birthday presents, and he is Superman mad. And one of his presents was a lovely fluffy dressing gown and pajamas, which were all covered with Superman. And he was giggling away and really enjoying the fact that his superhero was there. So where can we find you? If people want to talk to you or find your books, where can they find you?
My books are on Amazon. And then I also have, I don't know if in the UK, if you guys have it, but we have Walmart here.
We don't know.
Oh, no, Walmart? Okay. So they're on Amazon. And then I can be found at, I'm on Instagram at Kyle's Enterprises. So that's KAYLES ENTERPRISES, Kyle's Enterprises. And then I'm also on Twitter with the same handle, online handle. And then the names of my books, one of them is Heavy as the Head, for those who wear crowns, The Entrepreneurial Kingdom. One is hybrid, being superhuman among people. One of them is Entrepreneurial Spartans, A Grandson's Tribute. Another one is Lions and Wolves, the differences between entrepreneurs and network marketers. And then my first one that I ever wrote was An Eagle Eye with a Lion's Heart, how introverts can break through barriers. And that's just a brief rundown of all of the stuff, the books that I've done. But
Thank you. It just remains for me to say a big thank you, David, and I wish you all the very best with your endeavours and with your hotel. And to say to you as listeners, you can help people simply by listening to the show. So do please spread the word, because we give free meals through B1G1 to projects based on the number of listeners to the show. If you'd like to be in contact with me, and I'd love to hear from you, what you think of the show, any ideas for future shows, or if you'd like to work with me, then go to Gina Gardiner, Gardiner, and friends, the word and, not the ampersand, Gina Gardiner and friends @gmail.com. That's Gina Gardiner and friends @gmail.com. Love to hear from you. I do hope you'll join me in the next show. Thanks very much for joining me today. You take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye now.